There was a lot of good and a lot of bad in the year 2025 in movie and TVs, but today we're going to focus on what we enjoyed most in 2025 and what we're looking forward to in 2026.
Yeah, we had 78 total reviews for 2025, so that was 62 film reviews and 16 TV reviews, which we felt like we watched even more than that. Yeah. It did feel like that's still a lot, but there are some stuff we didn't get to see. So Marty Supreme we weren't able to watch. We haven't been able to check out The Pit or Pluribus or Severance or anything like that. So these rankings for our favorites of 2025 is going to be based on what we reviewed. And to see, what do you want to kick off of what one of your favorite films of 2025 was?
Do we want to just go straight to the top, or do we want to go just kind of bounce around with a few of the things?
Bounce around before we get to our overall favorite.
I mean, I think our consensus number one is going to be probably the number one on most people's list for 2025, but we can kind of bounce around. I do want to highlight a movie that I really, really enjoyed a lot, and one that I've gone back and watched probably 2 more times since we've done our review, and that's Wake Up Dead Man. Like, I really, really enjoyed that. The Netflix Knives Out film. It's just so good, man. Those movies are so fun. We love a good, like, whodunit mystery story, and this is another really well done movie that kind of ended the year on a really high note for, like, Netflix as far as, like, original movies, and I just absolutely love that film.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Daniel Craig with that accent just makes me smile. No matter if it's a serious moment or something else he's doing, and you just get an all-star cast stacked around him in that. It was a lot of fun. It's something different than we're used to seeing, as we mentioned in our review of it. You know, there aren't that many murder mystery type of films out there. Like, they used to be bigger, you know, back in the day. But it was a really fun adventure that they went on, and I'm really curious to see what they do in a fourth one, because he is talking that he started an outline, but he doesn't really have any details or anything that he's really going to do. But these are fun. Like, he got a lot of flack for everything that happened around his Star Wars film and everything. Some stuff rightfully so, other stuff not as deserving. But he's really nailed these Knives Out films.
Yeah, it seems to be a niche genre that he does really, really well in, and he's given us 3 really, really solid Knives Out movies, kind of back to back to back here, that we just get so much enjoyment out of. And this one was another sleeper hit. I want to pair that with another one that is kind of the opposite in the fact that it's sort of this super serious, kind of gut punchy, go along for the ride kind of movie, and that's The Long Walk. I would like to put The Long Walk up there as one of our favorite movies of 2025. Like, it was so good, so well done. The pacing of it, literally, it's a fast-paced movie because it's basically the entire walk for these guys in keeping up with at least a 3-mile-an-hour pace the entire film, and you just really feel like you don't ever get too much of a chance to catch your breath with everything that's going on. Like, you're kind of on the edge of your seat for a majority of the film because you don't know what's coming next, and it was just so well done. Such a brilliant movie.
This was really close to being my favorite film of the year because it had such incredible performances. Because, the premise is very simple, that they're just going on this long walk and they're being followed by the military. If you slow down for too long, you're killed. And the biggest thing about this movie was just how raw, real, and emotional the deaths. Like, a lot of films, when they have a death and they want you to feel it, you feel it a little bit, but this was a gut punch every time. Because, of course, they're kids and they're young, like, up to like 18, somewhere around there. But you're watching them struggle and die and get shot, and just, they don't cut away from seeing them be executed and stuff. And it really packed a punch when you got to see not only the execution style murder of it, but how it affected everyone else. You saw how it started breaking down their mental, how they started getting emotional changes, and like people who were showing no real remorse or showing this and that, being tough guys, and then you slowly start seeing them break down. Like, it was a really brilliantly done, and still, to me, one of the best. There's been 376 adaptations of Stephen King novels. This is one of the best that has ever been done of Stephen King's work.
I wouldn't disagree with that at all. Such a raw, emotional film. Kind of just takes you on that ride the entire time from start to finish. Even if you read the book and know how the book ends, like, you're still not really prepared for the emotional weight of it all. Like, you're really not. And they do a good job of keeping that sense of urgency and that sense of dread and despair, and, you know, throughout the entire film. And it's just so brilliantly shot, brilliantly executed as far as acting goes. Obviously, you know, I forget his name, but the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, who's the lead in it, and the other gentleman whose name is just escaping me here. I'm gonna be impossible for me to remember a lot of names.
Just forgetting names.
I just won't say their names. I just won't say their names. You're the mispronouncing guy, but I won't say it. But just phenomenal performances from both of those guys in this movie as like the two main leads, the best friends who make it to the end, and it's just such a brilliantly shot movie that just hats off to them on a job well done. It was very high on my list too. It could have made an argument for being one of my favorites as well, like top 2 or 3. I'd say it's top 5 at least for sure.
This is sitting right in the number 2 spot for me for this year.
So good, so well done.
But I do want to throw out one that I was a little surprised about how much I enjoyed it. I thought it looked like it would be decent, but I had such a fun, enjoyable ride with F1 the movie. Yeah. Brad Pitt going into this Joseph Kosinski movie, and of course, last he did Top Gun Maverick, which will just look phenomenal, and he used that in here. So you've got the feeling of real racing, and you've got so many different camera angles from different parts of the cars, along with helicopters and everything else. But you felt the speed, you felt the adrenaline of it, and I even said, like in our review of that last race, you're kind of holding your breath at the end to see if, like, was he actually going to pull it off? Was this actually going to happen? Like, there was plenty of humor, a lot of drama, a little bit of a romance that didn't really need to be a part of the movie. But overall, it was a really fun theatrical experience. This was a movie that really warranted going to the movie theater to watch because the visuals and the feel of the races just was so much fun. Yeah,
tons of fun. I could not disagree more, or could not agree more.
He's going to disagree with me.
I am not in it today. I don't know what is going on with me. But yeah, like it's a fantastic film. It's one of those that really embodies like that theatrical experience. Like you said, I really wish we could have gotten, like we've talked about our experience with like the D-box seats that we did when we did like Avatar. That would have been awesome to kind of sit in and kind of go on that ride. It would remind me of the old Days of Thunder ride at Kings Island that we used to have that, felt like that motion seat in a race car kind of thing. That would have been a lot of fun to be a part of that for the ride too. But yeah, such a brilliantly written movie. Just one that I would agree. We were hoping it was good, but we were kind of blown away by just the quality of writing, the quality of cinematography for a film such as this. Like, it's one of the better racing movies I think I've ever seen. Like, it's really high on that list too, and I would agree that's one that definitely belongs on there for sure.
I'll go right into the next one. Here was Zootopia 2, one of probably the best family films of the year. My kids absolutely loved it. It had a few problems and issues overall, but it was a really enjoyable ride where they showed how their animation got better and smoother throughout it, and, falling right back into the characters, because it had been quite a long time. I think it was at least 9 years in between the first and the second one here. Ke-Huy Quan was great to come in as playing our snake buddy here, and I thought it was just a really enjoyable family film. It's now, I believe it's crossed being Disney's highest animated film. I think it passed Frozen to be the highest grossing animated film at like 1.6 billion or so. So it's been doing gangbusters in theaters, but I thought it was a really fun ride that it's not in the top of my list of the top films, but it's one of the best family films we got this year.
For sure. It was such a well done, like well animated, well acted, well voice acted. Like, it's a really fun time at the movies. Did it have the same cultural impact necessarily as the first one? I don't think it did, but it was still a really solid movie, really fun, a great follow-up to a really good movie as well, and one that we know they're going to go back and revisit again for future movies. Sequels. It's probably going to, as they do with most things Disney, but I want to keep in that family theme and really go back to superheroes. Like, you may not think about it being like the most epic superhero movie year necessarily, but I really loved James Gunn's Superman. I really did. Like, I really thought that was incredibly well done. Everybody was kind of clenching their teeth with how James Gunn was going to come out here, and we had talked ad nauseum about how much pressure they were under to really hit the nail on the head with their first outing here. But I really, really dug Superman. I thought he did a fantastic job in keeping that comic book accurate nature of like Clark Kent and Superman, and I really think David Corenswet's done a phenomenal job as our new Superman here. But I thought it was a job really well done as well. Like, I would put that among my favorite movies just because I think he delivered what he needed to deliver.
Yeah, it was a comic book brought to life. Like, you try to get with all this other stuff of trying to ground it in reality and trying to do this other stuff, but it kind of made its own reality here with this. And because we got, doorways and other dimensions and just kind of heavily went into, this is a comic book property, we're going to make it a comic book.
Sure.
And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think visually it looked really incredible. It's another one of those like F1 that was a really big theatrical experience. Like it was well worth going to the big screen to watch it because of just visually bright. The audio was great, and it had some good action. It had some good humor. Loved Nathan Fillion with his bowl cut. I love Nathan Fillion just about everything he's ever done. But
it's not the last we'll talk about him in this episode, but
just
yeah, for sure.
Seeing him with his bowl cut was just fantastic. So yeah, that was fun. I will give it a little love. It's not exactly in my top, but I do want to show love to another comic property that came out, which I think didn't get the credit it deserved for just how well it executed itself, was Thunderbolts.
Absolutely.
Like it was different. It was a little bit darker. It dealt with some thematic elements of just not feeling that you belong and where you are and just being kind of stuck. And you got Bob and Sentry coming out with that, who's also diving deeper into that kind of realm. But I thought it was a really smart, well done film. Like, we know things with Marvel has been a little messy in where they're going, and this kind of felt like a little bit of an outlier, even though you had, Florence Pugh, and you were bringing in a lot of the other characters. You got Sebastian Stan, little bit being back to the Winter Soldier we remember with some of the action there, which was great to see. But I still really enjoyed the Thunderbolts. Like it compared to Captain America that came out before it, definitely was the best kind of Marvel film that they put out this year.
For sure, 100%. I absolutely love Thunderbolts. My love of Florence Pugh. I think she's an incredible actress, and I'm willing to watch her in anything that she's in. She really did a fantastic job of dealing with the mental health part of it in being kind of a quote-unquote normal superhero when you don't really have powers. How can you really overcome powered beings and things like that? I'm really excited to see what they do with them in Doomsday and what kind of role they could play in that and Secret Wars. But yeah, just an unsung, really well done movie by Marvel. I know that it wasn't the most commercially successful movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it was still a really, really solid film that I wish people would have given a little bit more of a chance to. I'd like to see the kind of numbers it did when I got on streaming, but I would say it's easily Marvel's best film of 2025 by a mile, as far as that goes. But yeah, I mean, do we want to kind of just jump right into our favorite movie of the year at this point, or do we want to bounce around a little more?
I mean, we can start talking about a few of our other top here, because sure. I know we have a few on here that we may want to talk about. This one wasn't the top of mine, and I don't think it was the top of yours, but it was up there close. It was one battle after another.
Sure, really good movie.
Leonardo DiCaprio was great, and Benicio del Toro was just fantastic, being that kind of just silly, goofy sensei that was helping out. But this was a really smart, well done, dramatic action comedy. I mean, when you go to see a Paul Thomas Anderson film, that what you're kind of getting out of it, and it was one of his better films that he's put out. It had a few issues for me with some things that it didn't do as well, but overall it was one of the best films that I had seen in the year, and it came pretty late in the year too. For sure, and we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the unbelievable performance of Sean Penn in that film. That was one of Sean's best. And it really did some heavy lifting in that, playing just a real jerk of a character, like a really awful, pretty much unredeemable character in that film, and he just got lost in it and did such a phenomenal job that it's good to see him kind of getting some of that love come award season, like he should be. But yeah, definitely an unbelievable performance from them. Like you said, Paul Thomas Anderson, he has one of those directing styles that when you kind of know what you're gonna get from a cinematography perspective when it comes to a Paul Thomas Anderson film. And more often than not, those are very, very entertaining films. Like he's a fun director to go see his work for sure. Yeah, so overall, I think we're on the same page here with our overall number one, and that's Sinners. It was just, Ryan Coogler came in with something a little bit different. We were expecting a big horror film out of it, and it had some decent horror elements out of it, especially towards the end and stuff. Yeah. But you got a really great performance with Michael B. Jordan. You got just an amazing cast around him, beautiful cinematography. I think he handled the story and that kind of blending elements of the voodoo and folklore type of elements to it with the horror and everything else. And it was one that I had a lot of hype and a lot of hope that it would be good, and it didn't disappoint me in any way.
Sure, it met every expectation and even exceeded some in some cases. Ryan Coogler is such a good director at pairing a great story with incredible music. Like, obviously, the Black Panther soundtrack is iconic. It's an absolutely incredible soundtrack. And this one is right on par with that. It gets a little bit of a slow burn to get going, but once it really kicks in, the music really starts going, the action starts going, things start jumping off. It is such a good movie. It's one of my more favorite movies that have come out in probably the last several years. Like, it is that good. It's on par. Michael B. Jordan gives an absolutely incredible performance as Smoke and Stack, playing the twins, just doing an incredible job. Haley Steinfeld is amazing as well. The guy who plays the main vampire in it, who's also going to be in 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, coming up this week. He's just an incredible breakout performance from him that I'm excited to see what his career really goes, because he didn't really have that many credits under his name before this film, and now he's going to start appearing in a bunch of stuff, and I'm excited to see that for him. But God, this was such a good movie, mixing that music and action and storytelling and visuals and just everything done so well, and such a tonally amazing film that hats off to you and everybody that worked on that film, because it was just so good, man. I have nothing but amazing, glowing, positive things to say about it.
Yeah, like you said, the music was just absolutely incredible for it, because you got to see a few different sides. You got that deep, soulful blues sound, and then you got the sound from the vampires and that side, which, takes you a little bit Irish and takes folky, a little folky with it. And it was just a wonderful blend of kind of two different worlds, which was kind of the point of it all. So yeah, it was wonderfully just blend of horror, but also not like just being straight up guttural, like just going to slasher horror or something else. There's subtlety to it and psychological stuff to it, and even humor to it, because they have to ask to come inside, and you have some of them who just don't know, wait, yeah, just let me back in. I just went out. They just invite me back in. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. But it blended the humor with the heart and the darkness, because you're dealing with, loss and survival and everything else. Just brilliantly done film by Ryan Coogler. Like, Sinners was such a great, it's one of those that you were so grateful afterwards that it lived up to what the hype was for, because it was getting hyped pretty big before it came out, and not many lived up to the hype in 2025, and this certainly did.
Yeah, hats off to Sinners, our movie of 2025. Such a good film. If you're like one of the handful of people left that haven't gone and seen it yet, go see it, check it out. It's such a perfectly balanced movie of horror and adventure, and just an incredible mix of so many good things that it's well deserving of our spot at number one in 2025. But not only we had that, we had some pretty good TV shows that came out in 2025 as well. And I kind of want to jump into a very obvious one for me that I've been hyping for basically since we've been doing this podcast, and we finally got Daredevil Born Again season 1. We got the return to Disney. Everybody was up in arms whether or not this could live up to the hype of how good the Netflix series is. I've been unshy about my love and appreciation for the Netflix Daredevil series. Is one of my personal favorite TV shows ever, and I gotta say, this one for me didn't disappoint when it came into it. It took a little bit to get going, and obviously we had some of the stories that have come out about like the shift in creative from the beginning of filming the season to where they ended it, and I really feel like they hit a really good gear in this season to kick it off into what we're going to get from it in 2026 and beyond. But it is so good to see Charlie Cox in the real red Daredevil costume, along with just an incredible Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk. Like, he was really made to play that role as well, and you get just brilliant performances from both of them.
Yeah, as you said, we know there's a lot of issues with production that they started. They didn't like what they were doing, so they restarted. They mixed in new layers that they were going into, new directions paired with what they were recording. So we know it had a little struggles, and especially during the beginning, it had those struggles in it. But yeah, when it really hit its stride, it was really good. It felt like the Netflix series, but also evolved us into something new. And yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio is just utterly fantastic as Kingpin. He was made to play that character. He gets the subtlety of the character plus the anger and the rage. Is one of the biggest shocking scenes that we've seen of what he does with his bare hands.
So good.
Towards the end of the season and stuff. And we got 2 more seasons to go at least of this. So I'm really excited to see where they go from there. But yeah, that was a really incredible season to come back to. Because, yeah, it'd been a long time that we had that sudden, like, okay, Netflix isn't doing any of the Marvel shows anymore. What do you mean? Like, well, that's gone forever because the MCU is doing all their own stuff. And I'm really glad they kind of listened to fans, but also listened to themselves of like, hey, we just can't go in and redo Daredevil and all this stuff when there's such love and admiration for what they did on the Netflix series. We need to lean into that and bring Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, bring them in to the MCU. And that was the perfectly right decision.
And of course, adding in the amazing John Bernthal as Frank Castle as well. Just
John back as
man, I am just if there was an actor I have a man crush on, it is John Bernthal. Like, he's an incredible actor. I'll watch anything in him in, and obviously we're looking forward to his Punisher special that he's got coming up, and we'll get into that when we go into 2026. But man, March cannot get here fast enough as far as like what we're looking forward to for that. But yeah, definitely worthy of a spot of best of TV in 2025 for sure.
I'm going to throw out The Bear season 4 as one of my favorites because this has just been such a solid, incredible show all the way throughout. And it still makes me laugh every time because I finally got my wife to watch it and she went through and she binge watched it. And I joined her in season 4 to watch the wedding. And I'm like, just be ready for the longest wedding table you've ever seen in your life because it's just one of the most memorable scenes of the season.
So good.
All of them climbing underneath the table to talk to the daughter and everything. And it's just like, how many more people can we fit under this table? But it worked. You've got a lot of emotional depth and heart of people, you know, they're telling their fears and they're telling this and that. And you've got a big connection at a wedding. And even though it did kind of seem ridiculous of just how many people were fitting under, it didn't take you out of it. It so worked. And you had, again, John Bernthal is fantastic as playing the older brother. And the few, scenes he gets to be, he just absolutely, I wouldn't say steal because it's such a great show of everyone working together so well, but it's just another instance of John Bernthal being such a fantastic actor that he can just fit in anything and have an impact, even if he's not in that many episodes.
Yeah, for playing a dead character that we know is dead, he definitely has an impact. But the Bear is just one of those special shows that comes along every once or twice a generation, where it's just really the entire sum of its parts are just incredible. Like, there's nobody out of place in that show that really feels like they don't belong in the show. And that just goes to the quality of writing that the show has, that every character feels important. Every character gets time for you to care about them and be rooting for them and hoping that they pull through and hoping for the right development. We get that unbelievable scene, the unbelievable almost entire episode of Carmi and his mom kind of repairing their relationship.
Jamie Lee Curtis is fantastic in this show.
Yeah, just an amazing performance in that. And then you have the very up in the air what's going to happen with season 5 coming up with the cliffhanger that kind of ends in season 4, where they're all just really trying to plot how they're going to move forward with, their lives and everything here, and the very real business dire straits that the Bear is currently in, and what that's going to look like for what could potentially be the last season with season 5, because we still don't have confirmation of what we're getting coming up is going to be the end for it. But man, just another incredible season. That wedding episode was just the embodiment of just incredible writing, and taking something that could be absurd and making it work in a beautiful way is just a really good example of just how brilliant that show is.
Yeah, I also want to show some love to Wednesday season 2. Like, it took us a little bit to get a season 2 of the show, but Jenna Ortega is so fantastic on taking over Wednesday from Christina Ricci and stuff, who was the most famous for the movies, and that, of course, she also did Casper and a bunch of other stuff that she was known for. But Jenna Ortega really came in and made this character her own, because you have them going deeper into the darkness. And this one, they're trying to go in more into the horror aspect of it and make it a little scarier and all that. But you also get the really fantastic episode where Wednesday and her best friend change bodies. And so you actually see Wednesday smile and wearing bright colors. And we get a long running gag of how she's allergic to color. well, you get a payoff of that in the season as well. I just think it had its problems, but overall, it was a really fun, solid season.
Yeah, for sure. And Jenna Ortega is absolutely fantastic in this show. Really does a lot of heavy lifting for this. It's just such a smart written show that you feel like it wouldn't work, but that combination of her and Tim Burton is just a really magical combination. And having them come together for another just great season, just icing on the cake. I'm really glad that it was worth the wait and we got a quality season to follow up and potentially more coming down the line from it for sure. But I want to kind of pivot to like keeping in a darker theme, but one that was more dark and just grand epic in a way that was very satisfactory for everybody involved, and that's Andor season 2, the final season of Andor. We knew it was coming. We knew there were like 9 episodes and it was going to be time jumps throughout from each grouping of episodes, but man, what a poignant, brilliantly written Star Wars story. I like to tell people that if you're not a Star Wars fan, you kind of want to dip your toe into the Star Wars waters, watch Andor. I think Andor is like the perfect gateway for non-Star Wars fans to really get into that world. And it also scratches enough itches for Star Wars fans, I think, to give just this brilliant, dark, brooding series that is kind of perfectly fit in between what happened in a movie and what happens in the show, because you know what the ultimate fates of these characters are if you're a fan of Star Wars, right? You know what happens to them when they make the leap into, Rogue One and everything like that, and you know what fate those characters have. But man, just what an incredible show. And obviously I'd be remiss without talking about the brilliance of the actress who played Mon Mothma in this show, and just what an unbelievable performance she gave
was
in
incredible.
It. Just fantastic performance from her. And what a great show, man. I absolutely love season 2 of Andor.
It still gets me that her final scene that she shot for the show was that dance number at the wedding where she's just kind of letting go and you're seeing her spin out and stuff. Like, that's one way to go out of that series. Sure. But yeah, Andor is my favorite show of 2025 because it was so brilliantly done. You have so many political angles. You get so much different Star Wars stuff. You get Alan Tudyk returning to, play the man of many voices to come back and play his robot counterpart from Rogue One and everything. But everyone was brilliant in the show for the acting. And yeah, Mon Mothma's final speech, and just, she was really, not to put anybody else down the show, but she was really the MVP of this show. Absolutely. She had to go through so much. Like, you have a lot of characters going through a lot in Andor season 2, but she had some big shifts and changes because she goes from being, a big political darling and in the space of the Empire area, all of that stuff. And then she has to jump into being a part of the rebellion and everything else. And she has to basically be the one who lights the fuse and goes off. And she carried it very well. But Andor was beautifully shot. Such well-told stories with amazing dialogue. Best dialogue we've had in Star Wars between Rogue One and here. Just such a brilliantly done show that, it felt Star Wars, but it also felt fresh and new and different because it was shot in different ways. You had it going into some darker territory that we haven't seen a whole lot in Star Wars. I know we potentially have a Star Wars horror series coming out in the next year or two, but this really got into the darker, grittier aspects of the political climate around a shift of Sith and Empire and all this other stuff kind of taking over and rolling all over the people, and it was just so brilliantly done.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, I'd say Daredevil and Andor were probably my two favorite shows of the year, just to me personally. And now, I really view 2025 in TV as kind of a big what if situation. Like, there was a lot of really quality TV that we just, for one reason or another, didn't get time to watch all of it, or just really sink our teeth into everything. Like, I personally watched It Welcome to Derry. I finally got it finished, and I know you haven't really had a chance to
I've watched it.
You've watched it too, but we never had a chance to really talk about or review it. I thought that was a brilliantly done show too. It was really fantastic, in my opinion, better than the films that we got, honestly. Like, it was such a really well done show.
It didn't shy away from the horror and the violence, and gave us, it took a while to get to him, but seeing Bill Skarsgård back as Pennywise was fantastic, and getting some different elements to him. But yeah, Welcome to Derry was really good.
Yeah, definitely worth a potential spot on our list, even though we didn't get to cover it. I know a big hit for Apple TV was The Studio. I've gotten to watch maybe half of that show so far. I haven't really got to dive in. I really enjoyed what I've gotten to see from it. Just really funny, smart, kind of like meta take on Hollywood, and a really funny, well-done show that I'm excited to kind of finally finish, but one that just didn't quite make it to the end of the line by the end of 2025 for me. But did you get a chance to check any of that out?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. Like, we didn't get to review it just because of trying to fit all the TV around life and films and everything else. But it was a brilliantly done show to show, they're poking fun at themselves. They're poking fun at Hollywood, and they're giving you some insight to stuff and also making stuff up in some really wild episodes. But it was a lot of fun to really get something that is really allowing them to break open the veil of Hollywood a little bit more. So some stuff is not talked about as much, or they're making other things be way over the top. But I think Seth Rogen did a fantastic job developing the series. The amount of cameos and big name directors and actors that they got to cameo, which I want to see what happens in season 2, which will be out here in 2026. It was a really solid show. It was one of the better shows of the year.
Yeah, and I know one that you and I both really want to dive into that neither one of us have gotten a chance to really dive into yet is The Pit. That's one that's on almost everybody's list to has seen it, just speaks absolutely glowingly about it. Like I'm really excited to dive into that one. I know we got season 2 coming up this year as well for it, so I want to dive into that before season 2 comes out. Just a brilliantly written, from what I understand, medical drama that is well worth the time and investment in. It's one of the next shows I'm going to start once I get caught up on a couple of these. I'm actually currently watching Pluribus right now, trying to get caught up on
That's one I need to start because I've heard such amazing things about it.
Really well done. Rhea Seehorn is the lead actress in that. Obviously, if you know her from Better Call Saul, she's absolutely amazing in that as well, and she's kind of doing the heavy lifting in this show. And really smart, well-written show that I'm looking forward to finally catching up on now that all the episodes are out. But I'm about 3 or 4 episodes into it as well. And this is just me, for whatever reason, sometimes my ADHD, my ADD doesn't let me sit in too many things for too long without wanting to bounce around a little bit. But I actually also just recently started the Copenhagen test, which dropped right before the end of the year with Simu Liu and Melissa Barrera in it. Very, very interesting. An interesting show for sure. I'm liking what I've gotten. I'm about 3 episodes into it as well, and just liking what I've gotten from it too.
You haven't checked that out yet. It took me, I think, 5 years after Breaking Bad ended before I started watching that. So hopefully it doesn't take me that long to get into Pluribus, but I want to get into it here soon. It's just trying to balance all the different shows and looking ahead at 2026. If I don't start it soon, I'm not going to get to it because 2026 is pretty loaded. But overall, 2025 was a pretty good year for film and TV. We know that 2026, even going to 2027, is kind of stacked on both ends. We have a lot of returning shows that we've been waiting for a long time. And there was some really quality stuff we got. Again, we went over what we reviewed. So anything we talked about, any of the films and TV shows we talked about here, you can go back in our archives, listen or watch the full reviews that we did for each of them and see the full details of what we thought about them. But overall, 2025 was a pretty solid year for entertainment.
Yeah, we definitely got our money's worth in that for sure. A lot of really good stuff. There was definitely some down stuff, but we're not going to focus on that here. We got so much more positive things we could talk about for sure. Like, we had a really good time, but yeah, let's go ahead and dive into 2026, man. We've got an absolutely loaded year, not just in movies, but I would say probably one of the more loaded TV years that we've had in such a long time too. But let's kind of stick to what our passion is, and that's film. And there's some really, really big things coming in film in 2026. What's one of the ones that you're really wanting to look forward to seeing the most?
Yeah, I'll kick it off with one that's actually coming out pretty soon here. We're going to be watching it within a week or so of doing this episode. Is 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Like, we finally got the third in the series of 28 Years Later last year, and immediately knew that we were getting The Bone Temple. We didn't realize just how quickly after that came out we'd be getting the sequel. It ended in a really kind of odd spot because you got, as we called it, the Power Ranger Teletubbies at the very end. But the early buzz about the Bone Temple is sounding like it's a really strong follow-up to that, which, you know, we are going to get one more of these, which we'll see Cillian Murphy return for in that. But it was a real, 28 years later was a really solid kind of throwback to that, you know, grungy, independent type of zombie, that zombie horror film that's not trying to be zombies, but it is zombies. Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to see how they continue that story in the Bone Temple.
For sure. Like that's definitely one that's been high on our list. Like we had a little bit of mixed emotions about 28 years later. It was a film that wasn't without its issues, especially with the hard right turn that it took at the end. Up until that point, I would say it was still a really solid movie, like a really solid follow-up in that series. But yeah, Bone Temple looks like it's going to be a really cool movie. Like I'm excited to check that out, and hopefully that rounds out, you know, maybe this part of the story that we're talking about and seeing where it sets up for a potential Cillian Murphy return. But yeah, definitely one that I'm looking forward to as well. This is also going to be like a big superhero year, really, as far as like films go too. Like I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about that. Like obviously the big one that everybody's looking forward to at the end of the year is Avengers Doomsday. But before that, we got a couple really solid offerings, one from DC and one from Marvel, and that is Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to be supposedly this return to street level of Spider-Man where he's going back to his roots, basically. We all know what happens with the fallout of, you know, Multiverse of Madness and what happens to Spider-Man in that film, and kind of, you know, everybody forgetting that he's Spider-Man and him kind of having to restart and reboot his life here. But you're getting some potential. What I like about it a lot is you're not seeing a ton as far as like major spoilers coming out of it. We haven't even gotten a trailer for it, and we've gotten a few of the Doomsday ones for the end of the year. But I'm really, really excited for Spider-Man. Spider-Man's one of those characters that you come out, you know it's going to make a ton of money. This is like one of the more bankable properties in all of film. Like I'm really excited for what's going to happen in this film, particularly.
And speaking of our love for John Bernthal, this is the first of a few appearances he's going to have as Punisher this year. He's going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day, so it's a first time in live action we're going to be able to see Spider-Man and the Punisher together.
So good.
Which there's talks they're going to have to tone him down, which you think it's going to be PG-13. Punisher is definitely not very PG-13, but there's ways that you can have him in there without making him a hard R character. You can not have him doing as much violence, but you can have, which John Bernthal excels in, is dialogue and, you know, talking things out, but also giving that emotional weight to it. But I'll jump back from that one to the Punisher special presentation that's supposed to be coming out, which it kind of fits in between a TV movie and a TV miniseries. I'm going to go ahead and just throw it in here because we're talking about it. Yeah. We get yet another story of the Punisher. So we're going to get his own story outside of Daredevil, outside of Spider-Man Brand New Day. And we're going to see exactly, we figure in that one is where we're really going to see what happens or where his character, we don't know if this is supposed to be maybe a bridge between Daredevil Born Again and Spider-Man, or if it's supposed to be a bridge after Spider-Man, because we also got word that he's not going to be in season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, which is kind of odd because of the way the season ended. So I'm really looking forward to seeing both of those appearances of John Bernthal's Punisher, just to see exactly where the character's going and what they're doing with it, because we also don't know if he may show up in Avengers Doomsday.
I will believe he's not in that Daredevil show when the final credits are rolling for that final episode, and he's not a part of it, especially with all the stuff that's coming out about that show and where they're going with it. But yeah, just an absolute banger that's going to have a lot of people talking that way. We don't have to wait all the way until December from another hot property from Marvel. That's the only 2 films Marvel's got coming out this year is Doomsday and Brand New Day. But I want to flip it on the other side and go to the DC route, where the big major film that a lot of people are looking forward to is the Supergirl film. You got Millie Alcock in here, who is from, best known from, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, and she's going to be the lead here in Supergirl. But we also get the flip of Jason Momoa into the new James Gunn DC universe, where he's shedding the scales of Aquaman and he's becoming Lobo, who, if there was ever a comic book character literally written for a human person to play them, it is Lobo. Jason Momoa is literally Lobo in real life, and he's getting to finally play him in this film. I'm so excited to see where this one goes. This feels feels like it has the potential to be the DC version of Guardians of the Galaxy almost, in the way of the kind of the kind of tone that we're seeing from any of the trailers that we've gotten so far. It feels very much like this could be their equivalent of that, and I'm very excited for what's coming from it.
Before I jump in to talk about Supergirl, I do have to mention the X-Men trailer from Avengers Doomsday. Like seeing Scott Summers in his 90s X-Men uniform was just like, the little kid in me was screaming and yelling like, yes, we got confirmation that they're at least doing that with him. But yeah, on the flip side, you have Supergirl, where, you know, we had one Supergirl movie made a long time ago. It was campy, it was corny, you know, back in the Christopher Reeve era of Superman. Then we got the TV series and stuff. So there hasn't been an absolute ton of stuff done with Supergirl. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he makes Supergirl his own in here. As you said, it does look a lot like Guardians of the Galaxy. It has that feel to it. But you don't want... And that's the biggest thing between these two characters, of Superman and Supergirl. You don't want them feeling exactly the same, other than just being different sexes. Like, you have to do something different with each one to make them feel special and unique and different. And so far, the trailer impressed me. I'm ready to see it. But I was really surprised we got our first peek of Lobo in the very first trailer. I did not think that we would be seeing him until later. It's very brief, but you get a solid look at it. And yeah, Jason Momoa, I mean, it's... Just throw some white paint on him and give him a cigar.
It's literally him.
You have Lobo.
I love it. I'm very much looking forward to that. I love the line where she says, "My cousin's not afraid to hurt people. I'm not," kind of thing, or whatever, and just have her just throw a bunch of people around. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully they pull the nose up on that for sure.
Yeah, and keeping with DC, the other one of theirs that I'm excited for this year is Clayface. Yeah. Because they have said this is based off of the Batman the Animated Series version of Clayface, which if you've seen or listened to any of our podcast episodes, you've probably heard us gush about Batman the Animated Series. Oh, yeah. And that is one of my favorite portrayals of Clayface, is what they did in there, because they made it such a more dramatic character of his struggles and everything else. So and it's supposed to be a dark body horror film as well, so it's going to be a little bit out of what they've done so far in James, because I mean James Gunn's DC is just starting still. But I'm really curious to see how they handle that. You got my attention by saying it's based off of Batman the Animated Series Clayface. I hope they do it justice.
Yeah, it's been super under wraps as far as any information leaking out about this film. I was surprised they had already shot it and it's already done and it's going to come out this year. I'm very excited to see what they come out of that. Obviously, we're huge fans of Batman the Animated Series, obviously, but those aren't the only major properties that are kind of diving into films and have products coming out this year. One of the big ones, it's one of the most anticipated films of the year, is Sunrise on the Reaping, the Hunger Games film, which is, dropping later this year as well, and it's following, the aftermath of Haymitch's Hunger Games, what happens in that. And that trailer just got so many people buzzing when it came out. It looks amazing. It looks incredible. You're going to get brief appearances from both Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson as PETA and Katniss are going to show up in what I'm presuming is a flash forward to something.
It's Woody Harrelson's Haymitch is telling the story of what happens to him. So we get a brief look at him again as Haymitch, and we'll get them back, which will be kind of nice to see them back in there, even though we know, kind of where the Hunger Games ends. Everything that they've been doing book-wise and story-wise has been prequels and going back instead of trying to continue it forward. They're going backwards. Like the last one was A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was fun. It had its problems and issues because you didn't feel the grandiose of the games because it was in a train terminal. Mm-hmm. It was like in a small building. There was not a whole lot going on, but this really seems like it's going to go back because you got a really almost midsummer type feel to the games for Haymitch, and we know just how many characters were introduced and things that were introduced from Haymitch's story. So that's going to be really interesting to see how they handle that. When I have the book, I haven't been able to start it yet, but I do really want to get to reading that this year.
Yeah, a lot of people are seeming to love that book. I haven't read it yet myself either, but that is definitely one that when the trailer dropped, people were losing their minds about, and that's going to be one that has a lot of people buzzing. Like you said, The Hunger Games is another one. We're getting a major film from the Star Wars universe as well. You got The Mandalorian and Grogu, from the very, very popular Mandalorian series on Disney Plus. It's getting a big cinematic movie. We're finally getting some trailers for that coming out, and it looks like that one's going to be a lot of fun too.
It looks absolutely just a blast to watch. Like, we've been wondering, are we going to get another season? And then they go into the movie, and even Jon Favreau's been talking. Like, I have finished scripts for another season, but we decided to do the movie, so it still sounds like this could be almost wrapping up the main story before, because we know it's Ahsoka, Mandalorian, all that's supposed to wrap up in a kind of a joint film that's coming out. So this is kind of taking us towards the end of our adventure with the Mandalorian Grogu. Now, they could milk Grogu for many years and have him grow up and see what his adventures are when he can actually speak and everything else, but it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like they've taken a lot of care to make it feel like Star Wars, but also taking us back into the Mandalorian. We just don't know exactly where this picks up in the story because, after the last season, they were just sitting on the porch and, waiting for things to come along. So you don't really know what our main plot point and story motive is behind this because we didn't have another season to set it up. It just went from that season not being the final season to jumping into a movie.
Right, and it may not necessarily be the end of it either. Like, it just looks so much fun. I can't wait to dive into that. May cannot get here fast enough for that one. I'm very excited to see what they have in store for that one. It's gonna be a ton of fun for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump back into December. So of course we have Avengers Doomsday in December, but releasing the exact same day, which just seems wild, is Dune Part 3, Dune Mesiah, whatever they're gonna end up calling it here. It's a third and final one that he's doing of the Dune films. The first two were fantastic. I mean, the second one had such a visual splendor to its fantastic special effects, but I'm really looking forward to see how they end it, but I'm still just flabbergasted that it's almost like they're playing a game of chicken to see who's going to move first, because you have one of the biggest Marvel superheroes movies that have come out since Endgame, and then you have another film that's done really well in the theaters with the Dune series, and this is the final one for it. Like, that's a head-to-head battle. That's bigger than Barbenheimer.
I got a feeling Marvel's going to win out on that, and they might jump up a week or go back a week. I have a feeling it's going to wind up around that.
I don't know. You get the House of Mouse to move. That takes a lot.
It takes a lot. I don't see it happening. I could see Avengers holding firm in that spot. But yeah, man, just what an absolute epic film that we've got due up for that. Like, Dune Messiah looks like it's going to be absolutely incredible. You got the culmination of this Paul Atreides story, potentially the final film of the Denis trilogy. Like, it's one that he felt it important enough to hold up everybody to shoot that before they got to go on and do other films. Like, I know that was keeping Zendaya from shooting several other things that she was trying to shoot to get this film done and made, and everybody's going to be clamoring for that movie when it finally comes out. Definitely a big one to look forward to. I'm excited for that one because we talk about stack casts, and that's one of the most stack casts we can have in a film, and it's a big follow-up to an absolutely brilliant second film as well. Just can't look forward to that enough.
I'm going to throw out this one because it is such an underdog story that we know through COVID and everything else that studios really started taking different turns and doing different things. And we know Warner Brothers canceled so many projects and everything. And this movie was canceled. It was shelved, never to be released, but there was a big movement that got it out, and that's Coyote versus Acme. So it's a live action animated hybrid of classic, animated characters with Roadrunner, and just, it's incredible that this film is actually going to be put out because we know that they shelved Batgirl and they will not release that no matter what, and they shelved other stuff, and Disney killed a bunch of shows and films and everything else, and this was just such a groundswell to get people behind it to get the film out, because you had so many directors and people in the industry who got to see it and said it was a fantastically well done film. Like, why aren't you releasing? Because you got the two different spectrums from Warner Brothers there. You got Coyote versus Acme, which is getting a lot of love and praise, and Batgirl, who was getting not that. Yeah. But they both got shelved, and one of them got saved. So, I mean, this is really going to take fans and everyone else going out and seeing this movie and proving to Warner Brothers, like, hey, you should have never shelved this.
It's the fun little engine that could story. It really is. Like I know you've been hyping up this for quite a bit, and I'm excited for it to finally see the light of day. It's a really cool story. I really hope people go out and support it when it does. I don't know how well commercially it's going to do, but man, that would be something for sure. Like we've got other films that are like big names coming out. Like obviously you've got Scream 7, the return of the Scream franchise that's coming out as well. You've got like return in the horror spoof comedy film Scary Movie 6, which
I
is
really want to see what that looks like.
Yeah, because
the spoof movies don't work that well anymore. I hope it works well.
I really do too, and I'm really hoping with the return of the Wayans brothers and just everybody being involved and on board with it, that we get kind of a return to glory of that genre as well. Because there's some of that. There's definitely a lane for that in the film industry, and hopefully they do it right. I know one that visually looks like it's really cool, The Bride, with Christian Bale starring as Frankenstein's monster, and the Maggie Gyllenhaal directed film of that looks visually cool. It's been in such
a unique style to
so many trailers that we've seen for it. One that I know you and I are both looking forward to is the Zach Krager version of Resident Evil, which is another property that we've got next to nothing.
What to feel about that?
Next to nothing has come out really about it, but it's one that he's taking on. And is it going to be one of those cases where it just absolutely works, or is it going to flop terribly? Like, I think it's either going to go in one or the other direction. It's going to go from one extreme or the other. It's going to be absolutely brilliant, or it's going to be god-awful, and we're going to rip it to shreds.
Yeah, he's one that's hard to really tell because he does horror really well, but he also is very quirky with how he does things. Like, we enjoyed Weapons up until the very end, where it kind of lost us in its very, last sequence that got almost slapstick, like almost hear the Benny Hill music playing when they're running around at the end, but it had some real darkness and horror and depth to it until it kind of dropped off, and you wonder, is a studio going to let him to have that kind of free reign on Resident Evil, or are they going to have him in a box where he can't do his normal stuff? But it's also, does his normal stuff work for Resident Evil? Does the more campiness that he can get into work? Or is he going to stick in being much darker? Because we got the Mila Jovovich Resident Evil series that made a lot of money, was around for a while, but it was never that close to the books. It was over the top, or the books, the movies, the brain not working, the game series. But it never stick too close to any of the storylines. Yeah. Some of the stuff was bad and off putting with it. So we haven't seen or heard anything about it. I'm really curious to see how he's going to take on something that's not his original creation, that he's got to work inside of a universe now.
For sure. And like I said, it's either going to do really, really well, or it's going to flop really hard. Mm-hmm. Part of the fun is not knowing which of the two is going to happen. But before we get into the one that I know you and I are both looking forward to the absolute most, I would be remiss if didn't throw a couple other, like you've got other sequels, like Toy Story 5 is coming out, the Super Mario Galaxy movie. We don't need to spend a ton of time on it necessarily.
Practical Magic 2, after so long, we're getting a sequel to that.
I know we're both really, really looking forward to finally Mortal Kombat 2 coming out. That's a big one.
Yeah, that was supposed to be out in October, but they decided to move it to May because they said they wanted it to be in a bigger window, and it kind of proved right, because last October is one of the worst Octobers that we've had in a very long time for film. Like, nothing that got put out in October last year did well. But I'm really looking for. I enjoyed the first of the reboot here. They said they listened to fans. It looks like they did a pretty good job from the first trailer. You got Jade looking a little different, but they said, it's going to be explained in the story if you just wait and watch it. Sure. You've got Carl Urban coming in as Johnny Cage. It is one that I was really looking forward to, that I was disappointed in that we didn't get last October. So I'm waiting on May so I can finally see Mortal Kombat 2.
For sure, that's going to be one that we're both looking forward to. I'd be remiss if we didn't quickly mention, Disney taking another swing into live action with the live action Moana film. You've got The Rock coming back as Maui. You've got the hit or miss response to Lilo and Stitch, and now they're taking another swing with Moana. That's another very, very popular animated movie that could or could not work in the live action film. I know a lot of us are kind of fingers crossed on that one. I know one I really wanted to hype up if we could before we get to our big one, and that's the Robert Eggers Werwolf film. Obviously, if you're fans of Nosferatu like we were, just an absolutely incredible film. This is his next film. It's finally coming out this year as well. Another period horror piece, a Werwolf movie. Like, I'm so stoked for that one. I know that one's going to be an amazing film and one that I definitely have high on my list as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because Robert Eggers just has such an attention to detail because he doesn't want to make modern movies. He makes period pieces because he doesn't want to have to do cell phones and cars and everything. But it's not only the attention to detail and the clothing and the buildings and everything else, it's the dialogue and the speak and making sure that it all feels like it fits in there. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to see, finally, again, another movie that was supposed to be released in 2025 is a Michael Jackson biopic where you have his nephew playing him.
Yep.
Potentially, this is being split into 2 movies, so if we are getting 2 movies, this is going to be part 1 of it, but I'm really looking forward to see what they do. The first trailer they released looked really solid, regardless of kind of what things that have gone in his personal life, and if they were going to touch on that in the movies at all, you don't know. But it looks like they've done a really fantastic job of bringing Michael Jackson back to life. I'm
going to make a really bold prediction here. I think that movie is going to be a top 5 grossing film in 2026.
They were even talking when it was supposed to release last year that they expected it to be the highest grossing film of 2025. Like, they had that much confidence in it.
It's going to be one of the top ones for sure. It's going to have some hard uphill treading against like Spider-Man and Avengers, who are bankable billion-dollar box office films, but I have a feeling it's going to be up there as well. But let's not waste any more time and dive into our most anticipated film of 2026. And that is, of course, the Odyssey. That is the Christopher Nolan, absolutely epic film that we're finally getting some more trailers from. We talk about stacked casts before, and outside of a Marvel mashup film like this is as stacked of a movie cast as I think I've seen in a long time. And I don't think that is enough to hype up how excited I am of this film. It looks absolutely incredible, and it's going to be bonkers when it comes out.
Already, because even Matt Damon was talking about he got down to like 167 pounds that he hadn't been since high school, but he's ripped, skinny ripped and everything in it too, especially at his age to get down that. He's not old, but he's getting older.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, they're fantastically stacked cast. Like, they're using, I believe it's the first time this specific IMAX camera was used, and they used it for the entirety of the film. 100% of the film filmed in IMAX, which, if you don't know much about IMAX cameras, they're loud. They are very loud. Even Matt Damon did some interviews talking about they had to build a special cage around the camera to try to reduce some of that noise, because you're trying to do maybe a lower talking or more serious dialogue scene, and you've just got the loud whirling of that camera. So they had to build a lot of very specific things to get around some of the problems and issues with how just gigantic and loud and big IMAX cameras are. But they also filmed a lot of the stuff very practically, which, as we've spoken about, Christopher Nolan is this generation Scorsese and Spielberg and all of those wrapped up. Like, he is a genius director that has such a brilliant vision with stuff. He's taking on such a classic tale in the Odyssey. Yeah. But he also made them for all the ship stuff. They said, we went out in the ocean and we filmed it. Like, we filmed it out on the water so you would get the real feeling of it all. And they said that was definitely grueling and hard to do, but he is all about an authentic movie watching experience, whether he wants you to believe what you're watching has happened or is happening right in front of you. And I just love the attention to detail that he does. A part of people, you can say things about how he mixes audio and everything between music and speaking, because some movies you've been hard to hear people speak. I think this is going to be one of the biggest defining films that he's put out, just because of the grandiose scale of the story, but just everything behind all the technology and everything he used and that they did to get this film made. And it's also another one that stars Jon Bernthal.
He's just doing incredible things
everywhere
in 2026. But it's one of the original epic stories, right? That was literally ever written. It's one of the original epics, and bringing it to the big screen like this in a way that he knows how to do big time cinema. Like, he is this generation's big time cinema director. He really is. And he makes films for people like us who love to go and have that all-immersive theater experience, and we're going to get that, hopefully, from the audience. I'm praying to God this is not a bad movie. Like, I really do. Like, if I want one movie to absolutely hit this year, I'm hoping this is it. Like,
I would say he has yet to put out a bad movie. Like, you can have different opinions on Dunkirk and a few others that he's done. Well, some people absolutely praise and others didn't get into as much, but he is one of those consistent directors that you can bank on. So I'm not as worried as much. But again, you just have to hope. He hasn't done a film like this before. How does his style and way of movie making really fit an epic tale like the Odyssey?
Yeah, lend into this type of period piece. We don't know, but yeah, man, that's definitely one that's absolutely number one on both of our lists to see this year. And that movie is going to make some serious bank, because that's one of the more quote unquote original non-sequel-y, non-franchise type films. The buzz around it is something like I haven't seen in quite a while for like that on its own individual storytelling perspective that we really haven't seen in a hot minute. So I'm excited for the buzz around it.
They put IMAX tickets out for the movie
a year in advance
for you to purchase it, and I think they all sold out.
They did, and it's just going to show that if all your film buff friends are excited about it, it's for a good reason. This is one that's going to do a lot of money, and I'm very, very excited for it.
Even there are some people poking fun at some of the helmet designs because of just kind of how handsome Squidward, one of the helmets look with, I think it was Benny Safdie's character that has that handsome Squidward type of helmet, but
who cares? It still looks incredible.
There's being genuine to the story and the time and everything, but there's also defining characters. If you don't have maybe a lot to do with their dialogue or anything else, then you change their visuals and you make things stand out a little bit more so it's memorable. And it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It already has people talking about that design, and people are going to be curious what exactly, if you don't know the story of the Odyssey. Like, we actually just went to Half Price Books over the weekend, and I picked up a combo of the Iliad and the Odyssey to reread both of those stories again. If you don't know that story, then you may not know much about that character. So it's getting interest building just based off of that maybe more unique design that may not exactly fit that time period, but it's a movie choice that gets people talking.
For sure. It's just, God, I'm so ready for that. Definitely worthy of our number one spot for sure.
Yeah, so we're going to head over into the TV side, which may be even more stacked than film. Because, I mean, we were going over what we were going to cover for January, February, just kind of getting a look at that stuff, and it's loaded. Like, you're starting off with a new Game of Thrones series with the Night of the Seven Kingdoms right away in January. Yeah, right away. Like, not wasting time. We're heading right into potential big series. Like, this is going to be a bit more unique and different than the other, between Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. But it looks like it's going to be really fun and interesting. You've got a first trailer and look at it. But on the flip side, staying in that realm, we have House of the Dragon Season 3 out this year as well.
Yeah, I mean, big year for Game of Thrones fans. These are, House of the Dragon isn't without some of its own issues, but definitely our biggest complaint is how long it takes to get some of these shows sometimes. But yeah, big year for Game of Thrones fans. You got two very tonally different series. Like you have Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which tends to lean into more of the humorous side that we really haven't dove into too much, where it's not as like brooding and serious and, gruff and crazy like some of the other series. But obviously, House of the Dragon is very much in that realm, but you get to scratch a little bit of another itch in that realm too by going into more of the humorous side with Night of the Seven Kingdoms, another high anticipated series that's coming out, another hopeful hit for HBO here. Like, just looking forward to both of those, diving back into those worlds and just kind of seeing the stories they give from us. You talk about January with Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about some of the other series that are coming out this month. Like one of our personal favorite shows that have come out in the last several years, and that's Shrinking Season 3. Like,
cannot wait.
You've got that coming by the end. We were just talking like a couple weeks ago, like, when is this show going to come out? Like, when do we know? Like,
and then a day later, we get the trailer.
And it's like, oh, it's coming in like 3 weeks at the end of January. We're like, what is going on? But we're excited for it. Like, thank you for giving it to us sooner. Like, one of the smartest written TV shows, just absolutely incredible. I love that show. Harrison Ford in one of my most favorite roles from him that he's ever done. And this is something that, and it's something that he's obviously an actor who's given us so many incredible films and film moments and everything over the years, but just an absolutely incredible show. Jason Segel is amazing in it. My personal favorite character, Derek, obviously played by the wonderful Ted McGinnis, who was just amazing and Married with Children as well, but now he's just, I love Derek so much in this show.
Incredible cast.
An unbelievable show, well written, obviously. Brett Goldstein, the writers and show creators from Ted Lasso are coming in.
And Darkness with Brett Goldstein showing up as a character in season 2 and the storyline with that. You thought some really dark stuff was about to happen at the end of that season, but that's what I love about that and Bill Lawrence and what he does, because Bill Lawrence has done another show that's coming back, Scrubs. Yep. He also did Ted Lasso, which is coming back for season 4 this year. But he marries heartfelt dramatics with humor so well. Like he is able to flip the switch of something being very funny and then gut punch you with emotion right after. Like it's such a brilliance of humor and darkness and drama. And Shrinking shows that off so much. It can be laugh out loud funny. And then it can make you, like Harrison Ford's speech in one of the last episodes there was just such a heartbreaking scene. And I know one episode that's going to be equally funny, but probably also very touching, is that we got Michael J. Fox is showing up because he has Parkinson's, and that's what Harrison Ford's character has in there. So you already got in the trailer of them talking, and that already got, if you're not an 80s and 90s kid, you probably didn't laugh while also shedding a tear while you saw that bit of it. I think that episode is going to be equal parts of humor, of going back and forth of them, like being able to poke fun at the disease and themselves. But seeing Michael J. Fox back out there and Harrison Ford is getting deeper into the disease. So, I just feel like that's going to be a very heavy episode.
For sure.
But it's going to have a lot of humor in it, too.
Such a smart written show. You mentioned it before, Ted Lasso, one of our favorite shows. Honestly, it's one of my favorite shows of all time. Like, it's that good, the first 3 seasons. We were satisfied with how it left off at the end of season 3, and if that were where they chose to end it, we'd be fine. They're coming back with the 4th season. I'm a little mixed. I'm optimistic and hoping that, everybody that's been involved in the show is... at least the most important pieces of the show are back for season 4. You've got all your most of your main cast back for this one. A couple pieces here and there missing because of, whatever reason they want to not include these characters, but you're going back to that well again, and I'm very happy to see a 4th season. I'm excited to see what they come up with another just incredibly well-written and brilliant show.
I'm hoping it's good because, we thought it was over with. Like, Apple would never say it was the final season, but Jason Sudeikis and everyone else
seemed to think it was.
This is the final season, and they decided to come back and do a 4th, even though it's changing the story a little bit. It's supposed to be about the female club a little bit more, which we kind of thought was supposed to be a spin-off story, and maybe this is potentially using a season 4 of Ted Lasso to set up a spinoff where you can continue more of this character and world outside of Ted. But I'm really curious to see how they do. Like, I've got faith in Bill Lawrence and, Brett Goldstein as being a fantastic writer along with being a great actor and comedian and stuff, that they put together something special for season 4.
For sure. It's just absolutely incredible. I kind of want to loop all of this, most of the superhero stuff, kind of like in one big pot here, because I don't want to drag on too much about each show individually. But you've got, like you mentioned, the Punisher special presentation, but you also have the return of a couple shows that we've gone back and done full reviews, almost episodic reviews of each of their first seasons, and that is like Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man gets a season 2. We love the direction the animation got in by the time they finished that season 1. Excited to see where they go for season 2 of that. Obviously, the big one for both of us that holds a lot of weight is X-Men 97 season 2. We're finally getting that. I'm so ready to dive back into that world because season 1 was just so brilliantly done. Brilliantly well done. But if you want to loop more superhero stuff in there, obviously Daredevil Born Again season 2. So excited for that. And some of the returns that they're so eager to spoil for everybody, even though I tried like heck to avoid them, but they're so open about it that you can't really avoid it. But I'm very excited for the creative direction of season 2 for Daredevil. But we also got another one that I'm really interested to see how it turns out, and that's Spider Noir. Do you want to talk about Spider Noir?
You're bringing Nicolas Cage back, who voiced the character in the animated, Spider-Verse films. Well, I guess he was only in the first one.
Correct.
But they're doing a period piece with Spider-Man Noir. They're going to release it in black and white and a special color version of it. It looks like I'm intrigued. You got Nicolas Cage hamming it up, playing Spider-Man. He always wanted to be Superman. Well, now he's playing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that. Not only just the stylistic choices that they've shown, because we've got some set leaks and other stuff that have popped out. It just, the suit looks fantastic. The style looks fantastic. And yeah, showing off that black and white and color style. I may watch it twice because I think I'm going to watch the black and white noir version first.
For sure.
And then I'll go back and watch the color version. But I'm really excited to see what they do with that. It's going to be different than anything we've seen before. And especially it's going to be on Amazon and not on, Disney Plus or anywhere else, because Sony still has, control of what they do with Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that and see what they did with that, because potentially it's the only season it's going to get. We don't know if it's technically a mini series or if it will get more seasons than one.
Definitely one to look forward to as well. But I think I saved the last two. Also wanted to throw out a little bit of Invincible season 4. I know we didn't include that in our list, but I know that Invincible is coming out with another season. Just an unbelievably well written, animated, violent, graphic animated series. If you've never watched it, it's created by Robert Kirkman, the creator of Walking Dead, and another incredible show that's coming out with it. But probably two of my most anticipated shows that aren't Daredevil centric, but they are superhero, is the final season of The Boys, which is a huge one coming in.
Don't know what to expect.
That one's just bonkers.
Everyone's going to die.
Yeah, we just expect bloodbath and insanity and continuation of that. Just an epic ending to what's kicked off this whole universe of stuff, because we've got obviously like Gen V, which is a show that we've really enjoyed as well. But there's also going to be another spinoff with Soldier Boy and Jensen Ackles, who is going to go back in time to play a younger, quote-unquote, version of Soldier Boy with some of the soups from back in the day when he was originally made a soup. That looks very intriguing as well. Excited to see where they go with that as well. But that's one that's finally ending as well. But I would say one that's got some of the most buzz that I can remember about it is the Lantern series for DC. Early returns from people who have gotten kind of like sneak peeks about it or calling the show absolutely incredible. And I'm excited to see that one too.
It's the first time we're getting Green Lantern since Ryan Reynolds. There was some cut Green Lantern stuff from Zack Snyder stuff with his DC universe, but I think it made a brief appearance in the Snyder cut of Justice League. But this is really the first full release of something, and being in James Gunn's DCU that we're seeing of this. You're getting Kyle Chandler's Hal Jordan and getting a different kind of take on the Lanterns and everything. Good, almost looks more like a buddy cop comedy type of deal with it, and you get Jon Stewart in there. I'm really looking forward to see what they do with that. But a couple other we do have in the realm of superheroes is VisionQuest, a follow-up of what we left off with WandaVision. We're finally getting the story of what happened with White Vision and where he's been this whole time. And one that I just really don't know what to feel about, because I don't know the character, is Wonder Man. And that's going to be out this month as well.
Yeah, another one that we're getting a lot of trailers for now, and it just feels very interesting. It's one that could do very well. It could not do very well, but we get that one dropping as well by the end of the month. But yeah, a ton of superhero stuff coming out TV-wise this year. It's a big year for superheroes on TV. Looking forward to all of that, honestly, just to see what all we're going to get for it.
Yeah, we're also getting potentially the final season of The Bear, season 5. It won't film until early this spring, but because it's easy to turn that around, it's expected out in the summer. They were honest about it. We don't season 4 was almost the end until he got a call in December, right before they started filming, that we're going to do another one. So they knew kind of going into season 4 once they started filming, and we know how that was split up and broke up because of all the different films that, the cast were doing. Potential final season for that one. We don't have the official word on it, but I'm really looking forward. It felt where season 4 ended, as we already discussed, that season 5 might just be the end of that.
That's crazy to think we're almost at the end of the line for one of the most incredibly written shows of the last several years as well. That's another one. Some fun ones, I think, that we're both looking forward to. I know you and I are both big fans of this show from the days when our teacher was on it, but we've got the 50th season of Survivor coming up. 50 seasons. Yep. This is absolutely incredible all-star season that they're going to come out with. Comes out right around my birthday at the end of February, and very excited about that one as well. I know that's one both of our families love watching. It's one of the shows that I bond with my mom over, because we've been watching it since the beginning, and it's one of our favorite shows to kind of text and watch together. But yeah, some really fun ones. You've got another potential fun one, and I don't know what's going to come out of it, but we got the Muppet Show as well coming for the families.
Give me all the Muppets.
Yeah, Muppets. Who doesn't love the Muppets? Like, we don't know if it's going to be a one-off thing or what the future holds for it. I think they're waiting to see how successful this is before they invest more in it, but that's one I'm very looking forward to as well.
Yeah, one show I want to show some love for is, I don't think you've been able to watch it, but For All Mankind has season 5 coming out on Apple TV. For the space nerds and sci-fi kind of mix, because it's an alternate universe of if the space race didn't end and it kept going between Russia and the United States and everything. It's been such a brilliantly dramatic, exciting. The last season got a little strange and weird at times because it takes place mostly on the moon, so you've got quite a lot of differences in that, but I'm really looking forward to see what they do season 5. I don't think they've confirmed that this is a final season, but it does feel like that is probably getting to the end of its run here with at least this or maybe one more. But it's a high production value, well acted, really good period sci-fi space show that I have just really loved, and I've been waiting for a while now to get season 5, and I'm excited that it's finally here.
There's so much to see and so little time to watch it all in. But I mean, we could kind of rapid fire a couple of these other ones. You got Reacher season 4 as well coming out. Love the Reacher show. Absolutely fun one to watch. You've got the follow-up season 2 of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action one. Trailers for it so far have looked pretty cool. I know a lot of people were kind of mixed feelings about season 1.
The kids grew up.
But the kids like made a big jump, and that's what happens when you wait forever to put some of this stuff out. But Avatar: The Last Airbender season 2, a couple that I'm really looking forward to. You got the Buffy the Vampire kind of continuation, reboot, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
it's not a reboot, but it's a continuation. But you got Sarah Michelle Gellar that's going to be involved in it as well. Looking forward to that. But you've also got Crystal Lake season 1, which fans of horror, you got the Jason Voorhees series, this is another one that a lot of people have been anticipating and waiting for, and we're finally getting this season of that to come out this year.
Yeah, that was one that stopped production right in the middle of it. They fired their showrunner and kind of restarted, kind of like Daredevil did as well. So I'm curious to see. I mean, when you talk about Friday the 13th and Jason Voorhees, you're not talking about high-end cinema, but some good, fun slasher action. But it's really going to be curious to see how they handle Jason in a TV series and how they handle Crystal Lake here. But yeah, I mean, you've got so much stuff for the Bridgerton fans. You have season 4. You have a brand new Blade Runner series and Blade Runner 2099 that's coming out. You got the first season of the Legally Blonde show where you're going a little bit younger with Elle and getting a story with that. The final season of Euphoria, as you mentioned, because of Dune and everything else.
Took forever to shoot.
Took forever to get out because Zendaya's just so busy. Like, an incredible amount of stuff coming out this year, and that's just barely even scratching the surface on the TV side of what we're going to see in 2026.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. We've got so much incredible stuff coming. That's just scratching the surface. It's a big year for TV, big year for movies, but definitely a big year for TV. Like, I know we've been struggling as far as what we're going to do. Like, we may not do episodic watch-alongs of anything. We may have to wait till the entire season comes out to do like a recap of it. Just because there's so much to keep up with and so much to watch. Like, it's going to be almost impossible to really dedicate that much attention to it as it's going along as we'd like to and give it the real honest feedback for it that we had. And it's something we definitely struggled with, but definitely a lot to look forward to in 2026. I'm excited. There's a lot of fun content, and I'd rather have too much to figure out to cover versus not enough and we're scrambling to find something to review. And that definitely doesn't look like it's going to be the case this year.
And we have even 2 more shows that we don't have full confirmation that it will end up coming out in 2026, but it's planned to be out this year. It's 2 small shows in Ahsoka season 2 and The Lords of the Rings of Power season 3 there, which that's been a little controversial. Both of them, like, some people were not as big a fan of Ahsoka season 1. Season 2 is, I believe, going to be the last and only follow-up season that we get for Ahsoka, but Rings of Power left in a very interesting time because of potential time jump and the war that for the ring and everything that's going to be going on. And Ahsoka has a lot to kind of do to meet up with Mandalorian Grogu to set up for that potential finale film that they're planning to do. But if we see those in 2026, it just adds even more stuff to a stacked year.
Gotta get to that Filoni end game. I know he's the head of creative for Lucasfilm now, so that's a big jump for him for sure. But that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you feel so inclined, please do all the things you can do to help us out. Follows, shares, likes, all of that stuff really helps. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to us wherever you're listening on the audio platforms as well. It helps us out so much, and we can't thank you enough for all your continued support.
You can also become a subscriber over on Patreon to get each episode delivered to you early. We're going to be putting out exclusive merch items for you to buy over there. If you're a subscriber, you'll get your name read out and shown at the end of every episode as well. So check it out over at patreon.com/we'll bring the popcorn.
Yeah, once again, thank you enough for your continued support, and we'll see you on the next episode.